Yeah, so let's run options, calculated fractional shares, hedge funds for $1. Yeah, let's run hedge fund calculated fractional share options, hedge funds for $1. Stay to the end to find out what we're talking about. It's basically what I just said in the beginning, but we're just going to try to make the whole podcast into a little bit of a commercial for the thing that I just mentioned for this podcast episode. Welcome to the news. Stay to the end. See how we get there, I guess. If I didn't say that before. Anyway, good to see you. So we're just talking about trying to make transactional, fractional options, hedge funds for $1. Basically, just leveraging artificial intelligence to be able to just have fun with financial technology, to just see if you can break out of the cycle with profit cycle, spinning forward to increase the value of your $1 hedge fund to go past $1. Yeah. So you need fractional shares to be able to test at low rates just to see if your energy will try to accomplish the circle of trying to escape its own value. Yeah, in terms of the value systems, the value algorithms, the value connections of little small tools that you can just try to add in terms of incentives for your options to try to break out, in terms of trying to develop a little bit of a hedge fund for your own hedge fund to learn from itself through artificial intelligence, and leveraging things that are sort of free software that have just come and grown out of the left side of the sky in the last year or so, aka the last few months, even more so, but even more than that in terms of where we're going to go. I guess you could say you've got the opportunity to just try to leverage artificial intelligence to be able to make your own options, fractional shares, hedge fund for $1, meaning that you just sort of grow strategies from the sky, because you can ask artificial intelligence to grow strategies for you from the sky, such as with tools like tradealgo.com on the web, obviously, or just Google that. But yeah, that's just an inspiration tool where it's like TradeGPT. TradeGPT is a thing that's on that website, for example, and TradeGPT is like a version of ChatGPT, but just for options trading or other types of trading. But you can ask the market what it's thinking about and what direction it might be able to turn if you asked it which direction it would spin if you wanted to make a trade at any given time necessarily. And then you can also program APIs into your brokerage accounts if you needed to necessarily, so you can start to program and become a little bit of a program connector in terms of API openings of pathways from one application or software interface to another, ideally, I suppose, but just also try to learn it through artificial intelligence teaching you, and at the same time trying to use artificial intelligence to work with you and or for you, and kind of lead the way, if you will, also in terms of research, speculation, conceptualization, in terms of algorithms to just plant in the ground like a seed. Just ask it what you think it would try to do, and then try to ask it what it would do off the backside of that once it's already grown an initial strategy, and then fly that flagpole up the flagpole to see if that is going to work in terms of a strategy that could potentially go up into the air somehow by just running it with the dollar, necessarily just trying to run it against the dollar. If you have spare change, and you can buy fractional shares with even spare change, it's necessary to get a brokerage account apparently, but like beyond that, it's necessary to fund it with a few dollars and cents to try to just get the energy to see if it flies, or get some activity, or get some results, get some data. That is a necessity to somehow sometimes fly the flagpole, fly the trade, fly the options trades, and also even paper trading gives more data at the same time. But if you want to just play it just like you're playing an arcade game and feel like you're in the actual arcade, then sometimes you put a couple quarters in to like get more of the experience of being more in the real life encounter of having other people around you while you're playing the game that you're playing, if you will, with money activity and monetary energy sort of flying around in the real actual markets of monetary energy flow, because I feel like there's a little bit of a different data flow at the same time when you're playing in the real monetary markets. Nonetheless, in comparison to the paper trading markets, there's just a different type of energy. You get more of a feeling of the real type of energy as opposed to the practice type of energy. It's like practicing on a game field, like a game where a football game is actually being played, but you're practicing in that game versus playing or practicing on a practice field on the sidelines with other people that know that they're practicing, as opposed to playing a game. Something along those lines. So it's ideal to be able to try to practice within the actual game to get the feel, the smell, the vibe, the essence, the understanding of what's happening, or some data that's happening in the background to fleck off of your mindset in terms of the atmosphere to somehow connect a little bit better in terms of future attempts to try to add value to your own little process and try to build upon it with little compounding interests of your own interests to try to add little more cool tools if possible. Add a couple more tools, add some more tools if that is possible, to be able to try to grow and add value to your fractional share options, hedge fund that you got for $1 and or added at least $1 inside, so to speak, to be able to just get it to try to dance, do a bit of a dance to try to give you data dance to try to grow your little hedge fund if possible, to be able to just, if nothing else, play it like an arcade game and get some data feedback in terms of your trading experiences, and just getting a data trading experience or a trading data experience one way or another, just from sending the few monetary energy cents into the internet atmosphere air and trying to see what and if anything lands back in the cup. What and if anything lands back in the cup of the pennies and the coins and the nickels that you sent out into the air, into the stock market air, into the open market's air, to be able to let that open market energy trade and fly around in the other sort of parts of space or the world in terms of the monetary energy floating. That monetary energy does when you go and trade it into the open electronic digital monetary markets, so that in essence you just get a chance to see how your little short-term fractional shares, options, hedge funds are flying on a consistent basis by having a low barrier to entry by using fractional shares, options, calculations with tradegpt.com or tradealgo.com, for example, to get a little inspiration to sometimes just ask it questions similar to ChatGPT, except getting an inspiration for a hedge fund if possible off the backside of asking a couple questions to something similar to TradeGPT or some other interface that's a little bit similar, I guess you could say. But that's all for now. Thanks again. And let's all remember to push for world peace every single day. Let's all remember to push for world peace every single day. Let's push for world peace every single day. And also, let's remember to try to clear the animal shelters. Let's clear all the animal shelters in the world. Let's clear all the animal shelters in the world, because we can foster all the shelter animals. We can adopt all the shelter animals in the world. We can rescue all the shelter animals in the world. And we can also hire the shelter animals as healers. We can also hire the shelter animals as healers all throughout the world, so that they don't have to be mistreated in animal shelters. And we can clear the animal shelters, and we can hire the shelter animals as healers throughout our communities. Because they also work for free, and they could use better purpose and use better jobs and be able to add value and be therapeutic energy for humans and humanity, to help us be more harmonious as humans and among humanity for all the animals in the world, to clear all the animal shelters, to try to get them to transition their energy in terms of therapeutic energy to all humans, so we can clear the animal shelters to add value to humanity in terms of harmony if possible. And let's push for world peace every single day and clear the animal shelters every day. That's all for now. Thanks again. Dinky Tech and Change for Game Studios. Bye. Peace. Bye.